So welcome to another Studio Peplink sales webinar and training session. Today's topic is Peplink for the BFSI industry. That stands for banking, financial services, and insurance. And the reason we chose this topic was actually based on our partner demand. Many of our partners have been asking for specific solutions tailored to the banking and finance industry. And we hear you, we listen to all of your comments, and we want to work with you to make sure you offer the best available option in the world to your clients. So let's start. What is the Peplink mission? What are we trying to achieve with our portfolio of products and solutions? We're the unbreakable connectivity company. We offer a solution anytime, anywhere. And that means wherever your client may be located within their region, we will work with the best of available options at that point in time using the best available solutions available in the market. And we will be able to deliver a working solution. And you will see as we break down this very interesting case today. Before I start, I really want to thank the partner who developed this. There's an incredible amount of work, and you'll see in a second. So our case was for a banking client, and their core focus was to bring their enterprise into the 21st century with cloud-based core banking. So let's take a look at what they had prior to the Peplink solution. We have a client that's looking for a resilient and unbreakable private bank network setup. And here's our client profile. They are a regional bank, and they want to develop their own private banking network. Their specialty was to provide banking services to remote areas in the region for business and the community. But they undergo a lot of challenges, such as the availability of infrastructure. They literally opened brand new branches with zero networking. That means no landline, no fiber optic, no VSAT, nothing. They were completely in the dark and cut off from their network. This posed another problem. It compromised their ability to back up their data with low-tech solutions. They literally have to back up the data from each branch onto a removable medium, such as USB, removable hard drive, CD-ROMs, DVD-ROMs, etc., and transport it physically to the main branch for backup and data sharing. Of course, this poses a completely insecure solution that can compromise their data sets. But that's not all. For the branches that actually have some form of connectivity, they were limited to basic IPsec. And this is a very difficult to set up solution on a per branch basis. Not only was it difficult to set up and manage, they were experiencing very limited bandwidth and performance. They also were experiencing difficulties in scaling because of the difficulty of setting it up. It was a very primitive network technology, and it lacked clarity and visibility into the network. They were unable to see which branch was doing what. And they have to manually configure each branch or per peer per connection. And last but not least, they were severely vendor challenged. If they had any availability of any networking, it was all provided by one single provider network. That single provider only offered one option per region, per area, or per city. So you can imagine you have a single provider that only give you one option, you have no choice. It was either take it or leave it. There was no resilience and inability to scale. This will create severe downtime if the provider is experiencing an outage, which would result in a branch going completely offline and dark. And last but not least, there is no way for the client to go into the market and take advantage of competitive costing. Now, I want to ask all my partners and participants in the room right now, if you were the partner and you've met this client, what type of solution would you advise them? Given that they have a single headquarter branch, they have many and multiple remote branches, some had no way to produce any connectivity, some had a single provider with an archaic IPsec system. What kind of advice would you give to this client to bring them into the 21st century? If you know, you can type in your suggestions into the chat room and we can share it with our audience. Stone says SD-WAN. Any other ideas? And if you don't know, can you guess who the competitors were competing to develop a solution for our customer? Marcus says, look at using SD-WAN with a virtual data center hub. That's not a bad suggestion. Can anybody think who our competitors may be looking to provide a solution to this client? I won't mention the name on the air, but you can type in what you think or who you think would participate in such a solution. Michael, MPLS? Possibly. That is a possible competitor. Daniel, you would recommend a central FusionHub with BR1 models per side. Okay. Okay, let's keep it rolling. So before I want to proceed, I'm going to tell you what our competitive analysis was for this special project. We have multiple sites, lack of infrastructure, single provider network, very difficult IPsec VPN, if any networking connectivity. The answer is none. There was only one provider that stepped up and was able to offer a solution to our client. And I could not believe this when I first found out. There was no competitor able to offer any proposal for our client. This was how difficult their requirements were. So let's take a look at what our partner did, and let's break down their solution. They offered a multi-point, multi-phase system to take a banking network from near zero into a showcase for the entire region. So first, phase one, we would need to implement some form of SD-WAN and do a demonstration to certify that it actually works. That is correct, Marcus. No other vendor is able to provide a solution. So here's what they did. They took a single branch. They chose one branch that was completely disconnected off the grid, no network connectivity whatsoever, and they implemented a POC. And this is how they did it. They brought in a dual 4G LTE solution with external antennas, 1 and 2, and they chose whatever the two best ISP were available at that time for that specific branch. They placed the SIM cards in our devices, and the branch was online within minutes. This allowed them to create a twin WAN solution bonded with resiliency, security, and performance. No other provider stepped up at that moment. They spent a week doing validation tests. That includes performance testing, packet loss, quality of service, throughput, et cetera. They plugged in everything into that one branch and pushed that data network back to their headquarters for a week. Now let me ask you, if you're able to do that on day 0 for your client who had no connectivity, what would be the next steps to continue the validation? For my partners who know, what would you think would be the next steps? They spent 1 week doing a twin 4G LTE solution with external high gain antennas across the 2 best ISP for that specific branch. So let's see what they did. They were so happy with the solution, after 1 week, they did a full enterprise rollout across every single branch. They added a Peplink SD-WAN solution to any branch that had an existing primary WAN and supplemented that, such as MPLS, 4G LTE, fiber optic, DSL, etc. For branches that had zero connectivity, they would install high gain antennas with a twin 4G LTE solution. And what they experienced was the benefits of SpeedFusion bonding and hot failover. If one of the networks went down for our branch, they had a secondary WAN that would turn on and keep them online. And when that primary WAN comes back online, it would be dynamically added back to the total performance package for that branch. So I will tell you, at every single branch, they are not using a unified system. They are sharing multiple MSPs or ISPs across the region to develop the best of connectivity per branch. And because of SpeedFusion bonding and hot failover, we were able to offer a secured and resilient and high performance option that no other vendor, MSP, ISP, or provider were able to offer. So that was phase 1. This was deployed across every single branch back to the headquarters in a star topology. Now, let me ask my partners, what would be the secondary phase if you're bringing a bank from zero to connectivity to a full service modern day network banking system? What would you add to make this even better? Data recovery from Michael, traffic monitoring and remote management, security features. Well, those are all good suggestions, but let's look at what they did. Now, they took a complete bank network that was nearly offline and they just brought it completely online. They were able to share resources. They were able to do backups. They were able to communicate with each other. They were able to have real-time voice over IP plus CCTV backhaul plus video conferencing. What else do they need for a small bank to come into the 21st century? Well, what about extending their banking service outside of the branch? Sack the existing network provider and employ a Peplink partner? Maybe. So for phase 2, they have to build the cloud-based banking core. So that already tells you the hint. They have to build up the cloud infrastructure. Only when they were able to show and demonstrate that their banks from nothing into fully modernized network banking are they able to look at the next step, which is to bring in the cloud components. And that offers them near unlimited scalability. And let's look at what our provider did for them. They set up a primary data center in one of the cities surrounding many of the branches. That makes sense because of latency and locality. They set up a secondary data center for backup. They combined the 2 data centers into a virtual network using a redundant IPsec VPN. And this was mainly to meet the data center requirements and probably what was offered by the provider at that time. They also set up a 3rd data center backup core. And what would they use this for? This was an offshore backup data center attached to the primary data centers with dedicated lease lines. And they offloaded the 2 primary data centers for voice over IP primary server management. So now they've built a secondary phase, very modern and super redundant, cloud-based banking core. They have a fully networked branch-to-branch system, and they have a fully secured data center-centric banking core. Now, let me ask my partners, what else would you bring into the picture to make this a truly magnificent setup? Marcus, you are correct. You said the third data center can be used for a proof of concept development before sending services live to the other data centers. That is absolutely correct. With triple redundant data centers, you're able to do live testing before you offer extended services such as SaaS or banking services as a service. And let's show you what our partner did in phase 3. In phase 3, they wanted to unify the entire banking network into a single system. They added FusionHub right in front of the 2 primary data centers. That would allow them to create a parallel network into the cloud within a secured VPN solution from Peplink. The next step was to bring in all the branches. That means the entire banking network, and create a live connection into the data center core. And there you go. They created a SpeedFusion VPN extension to the entire regional banking network. But that's not all. What if you wanted to now offer extended banking services outside of the branch, such as remote ATM, ATM on site at other campuses, shopping malls? What if you wanted to extend banking services such as points of sales and transactions? You can. Our partner was able to help our client develop internet-to-internet banking services, including payments and remittance channels, all privatized within a SpeedFusion secured network. And I want to answer Pandia's question. He said, in this use case, in a remote location, it is suggested to use dual SIM. What if the signal strength of both the SIM service providers is very low? Well, if the SIM signal strength is very low, you can actually increase by aggregating more SIM. You're not limited to only 1 or 2. With a Peplink solution, I'm going to show you devices that allow you to scale up until a reasonable amount of performance that you can provide to your customer. And outside of this specific case, we've actually done this globally and worldwide for other partners and end users as well. So what did our partner really do? They took a completely world banking system that worked with remote partners and remote branches and brought them into a showcase for the region for all existing banks. They were able to, 1, centralize network management for the entire network through our SD-WAN controller. You get full network visibility, including GPS locational tracking of each peer. You also are able to immediately troubleshoot from the centralized IT team, from the bank, down to each branch, down to per device. We did not also compromise any security. We offer a full AES 256-bit encryption from end to end for every single peer. Next, we offer network resiliency through hot failover over multiple WAN solution per site, per peer. If any of those links went down, those sites and devices and services will stay online. So the bank is fully operational. Another benefit is that using a full stack Peplink solution is that we completely simplified the WAN architecture. Why? No longer do we have to deal with multiple vendors, different systems, and integration. We have a single full stack solution that's completely transparent and easy to set up and manage and to fix if need be. And last but not least, we gave them a benefit that many of the existing banks that were online were unable to do. We accelerated their entire branch development for modern full service benefits to customers and internal banking teams, such as online banking network, internal and consumer Wi-Fi services, real-time high quality resilient voice over IP and video conferencing, real-time bulk data backhaul, CCTV security, camera streaming, and etc. We took one bank offering simple services into a complete showcase. And I will add one more thing. This bank gained an award for a technology recommendation because they were able to deliver a full stack solution that many of the more higher quality and more competitive and bigger banks were unable to offer in terms of full stack servicing. So what kind of solution was offered? First, I've already mentioned, we offer a full stack solution from Peplink. We start down here with our machine intelligence built into every device and every virtual device. We call that SpeedFusion technologies. And that is the underlying tech that powers up and enables our partners to deliver a realizable solution to their clients. We also have a wide range of devices specifically designed for different sizes and usage to create the perfect network architecture from headquarters to main branch to remote branches and integrated devices such as ATM. We also supplement that with virtual appliances where it makes sense to not put in a hardware device. So you get network agility and you can add and expand your network as need be. And last but not least, as I mentioned, we offer a completely transparent and full visibility into the network with an easy to access, anywhere access, cloud-based SD-WAN controller that we call InControl 2. So let's look at the SpeedFusion technology and what makes it special. We start with a PEP VPN. This is our proprietary 256-bit AES encrypted VPN technology for point-to-point. We offer a hot failover service. That's the ability to switch from one WAN to the next WAN on a per packet level, creating a seamless solution for any network peer that you use under the Peplink umbrella. We also offer WAN smoothing technology, the ability to use many WANs and create a high quality jitter-free data stream for voice, video, VR, and even augmented reality in the future. And last but not least, we encapsulate and utilize every bit of power that your client has paid for in the form of combined bandwidth for every single WAN that you attach into the network. But let's focus on what really makes it special for banking customers. Besides the number one, which is security, number two must be resiliency. We offer the hot failover service, the ability to take one or many WANs and switch over seamlessly to a physical WAN or tunnel uninterrupted, keeping the bank fully online. You can imagine just bank transactions, customer service, consumer Wi-Fi service, and any other critical infrastructure servicing that the bank needs to provide. That's their bread and butter, and that's what keeps them in business. It is important that they stay online after being secured. Next, bandwidth bonding. That's basically bandwidth on demand. We allow our customer the ability now to walk away from a single provider and to shop around and use the market to their advantage. They can look at the market and update their WAN per site, per device on a quarterly basis, annual basis, even down to a monthly basis. This will help them find the best partners in the industry to ensure that they are being properly served. And they can scale near indefinitely using our WAN bonding technology. Just combine and add in any new available technology and aggregate that bandwidth into the system. If you don't need it, guess what? You can also do the exact opposite and scale down or move branches to a new network. So let's look at some of the devices that I would recommend today that can be available. And this would apply right now if my partner is asking, well, what kind of solutions can you offer and recommend? And how do we apply it? So let's start with the headquarters. If you're looking at a scalable solution, we would recommend you look at the EPX or Extreme Performance SD-WAN platform. Highlights include 40 gigabits of extreme bandwidth for data backup and replication. It has ultra high performance to accommodate peers from across the globe, not only locked down to your region. We offer the ability to allow you to design the perfect system, including designing a hybrid core router and switch configuration. And it's modular. You can design and grow as you go. Hey, Theo, you asked the question if the customer asks for PCI compliance. Well, that depends on a per region. And yes, we do. We offer devices with FIPS compliance if you need it. Ask your Peplink partner, such as VAD or marketing team, about it if you don't know. Next, what kind of module expansions can I look forward to help my banking customers stay ahead of the curve and keep them updated? Let's start with cellular modules. So we have triple 4G LTE-A module in Cat6 and Cat12, and twin LTE-A Cat18. So what are the differences? A Cat6 and Cat12 4G modem would use a 2x2 antenna system, so you can count it. There's two per modem. This is a GPS connector. In a 4x4 MIMO for Cat18, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 antennas per modem. If you look at the total raw throughput, a Cat6 will give you 300 megabits per modem, so that's 900 megabits of download, 150 megabits of upload. Cat12 will give you about 1.8 gigabits at peak download, roughly about 450 upload. And a Cat18, while only has 2 modems, gives you nearly 2.4 gigabits of throughput with about 300 megabits of upload. Now, if you're going to ask me, how are we going to ever achieve the peak numbers? You really need to be very close to the cell tower. But the thing to consider is how many providers do you have and the quality of their signal. And it is smart for you to look into your region and see, do you even have Cat18 services? The advantage of a Cat18 is by using 4 antenna system, you are able to pick up more radio frequency signals out of the air at that moment in time. That means you can increase the performance if your ISP offers a Cat18 service, or if it offers enough frequencies within that area. Also, Cat18 offers 5 carrier aggregation, that means 5 different frequencies that it can combine. Now, you really need to do your homework and check with your provider, see if they offer that. But that is one of the advantages of going to a dual Cat18 versus a triple Cat12. Well, what about if my region has even better technology? If you're talking about 5G, we got you covered. We offer a twin 5G module, twin 5G modem module for the EPX. That's either 2 5G cellular modules or a 5G plus a Cat18 4G LTE-A. Both are 4x4 MIMO, and the performance would really depend on how close you are to that cell tower. Now for LAN and WAN needs, we have an 8 Giga Ethernet PoE plus module. These are LAN WAN switchable per port, up to 1 gigabits per port, and PoE AT or AF, and you can switch every single port on and off, PoE on and off, and etc. For cascading or connecting to core switches, we do offer a quad SFP plus module. And these are LAN WAN switchable per port as well. Now, what about medium branches? We would recommend something like an SDX. And this is my award-winning and one of my best sellers. I have banking customers right now logged in and banking partners who have deployed this. You know who you are. The SDX offers high performance up to 12 gigabits for large branches. It does offer the same modular expansion as an EPX, so you can grow as you go. But it is super WAN agnostic because it already has 2 SFP plus ports, 2 Ethernet ports, Giga Ethernet ports, and 2 USB ports for WAN connectivity. You can mix and match and create the best of at that point and time and at that site. And it supports high availability, so you can link 2 for extra redundancy. So what about a smaller branch? Let's take a look. We can recommend, based on the case that we've just shown you, to take a look at the MBX. This is our upgradable quad cellular gigabit LTE powerhouse. MBX has up to 4 4G LTE-A modems for maximum wireless performance today. You can bring your clients' branches, remote sites, online on day 0 without any physical landline. Plug in SIM cards, turn it on. You can also scale in the future when you have hard lines available through our additional WAN ports, 1, 2, and 3, or even USB for temporary WANs. And we do offer investment protection with a 5G pathway to grow in the future. You can swap out the entire modem module on the back and replace it with a 5G compliant module. If you have a 5G use case, you can email marketing and we will be glad to work with you on this. And what about smaller pop-up branches or remote branches or temporary branches? What would you recommend for my banking customer? Well, for those types of use cases, usually bandwidth is not really the biggest concern. The number 1 concern is security. The number 2 is resiliency. But number 3 is priority of transaction packets. I would recommend you take a good look at the UBR LTE. Why? 1, it is a unique business model because it is available under an OpEx subscription. That means you pay upfront a fraction of the cost instead of buying this out in the first year. You can pay as you go every year as you use it. It also has all the SpeedFusion benefits, including bonding, WAN smoothing, and hot failover. But more important, it offers network redundancy and secured VPN for points of sales. And it's versatile, has 2 built-in 4G LTE modems, plus an additional WAN port if you want to bring in other WAN options. And of course, you can configure the built-in Wi-Fi as WAN as well. Last but not least, what about integration? What if I have dedicated transaction devices that I just need to set it and forget it? Let me introduce the SpeedFusion engine. This is a very small form factor and low power item for super easy integration. You can plug this into a system, bolt it down, and just turn it on and forget about it. It has 2 built-in 4G LTE for unbreakable bonding and active failover. It has built-in traffic steering to prioritize all transactions above any other network traffic. Usually that's what ATMs would be requiring. And it does offer a built-in GPS to ensure that you know where that device is anytime and for security monitoring. And how would a typical network look like? Outside of my specific network that we've shown previously, let's look at a hypothetical network. You would have a WAN edge device, whether it's wireless or wired, at the remote site or branch. We would enable Peplink proprietary SpeedFusion bonding, and we would encapsulate and create a super fast, high bandwidth, high quality connection back to A, your headquarters through a wired device via hardware, or possibly B, we can wire and direct all that traffic to a cloud-based virtual appliance in the cloud. And then we can do segmentation of traffic. Do we keep the traffic within the network, or do we segment an off-ramp non-essential traffic such as internet or surfing needs from consumers? And we can VLAN all that off and segment it to protect your network. So this is what we can do with our complete full stack solution today. We offer security, resiliency, high performance, 5G ready performance today where 5G is not available, and a virtual outlet if need be. So I want to just summarize what other benefits that Peplink can bring to the table that makes it specifically viable and applicable towards banking solutions. I mean, everything I just said can be technically applied to any other enterprise. I'm glad you asked. Oh, before I do so, let's talk about FusionHub. So FusionHub is our virtual device. It is installed onto a server. It can be run in a hypervisor under Voltaire, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or you can roll your own under VMware. It is a virtual appliance installed on a server that will establish a SpeedFusion connection between cloud and physical Peplink devices. So as I shown in my case, we use that to bring in all the branches into a secured cloud-based network as the gateway. It's available in different sizes and instances. So you buy what you need. You can also run a demo for 30 days just to test drive it. You can deploy it easily because you could literally log into your cloud provider and download an image and spin that up. And it's easy for you to control your infrastructure because you could deploy it as a POC before you put in or consider a hardware device as a permanent on-premise device. Lastly, built-in full-feature UI, easy to set up, no IPsec headaches. You could do tunneling and outbound policy setup, and you can set a FusionHub as the primary public IP address, open gateway into your network instead of compromising a hardware somewhere else. Now let's look at more banking specific benefits from Peplink. So we're able to do something that's really cool and applicable to our client, and that's sub-tunnels within an existing SpeedFusion tunnel. We've created a point-to-point system with a single SpeedFusion tunnel. Let's pretend this is a branch and this is the headquarters. You can create different tunnels within the tunnel to traffic steer. For example, you can create a data priority set. You can create a voice over IP tunnel, video streaming tunnel, marketing tunnel, sales tunnel, or even a backhaul tunnel. You can deploy different policies with separate tunnels not affecting the other policies. We also offer high availability for our devices. That gives you peace of mind with extra redundancy at the branch, headquarter, and data center levels. A very important feature is that with Peplink, you can set up an on-call disaster recovery site. So what is that? Imagine if you set up a complete SpeedFusion network, and what if your headquarters went down? What would happen to all your branches at that instance? Does it go down in the dark, or does it try to find another head unit to connect to? With disaster recovery support, you can set up an on-standby peer to become the head unit if the primary goes down. And this is all live and on standby. This is not a cold spin up. You can set a disaster recovery at a major branch, central branch, or even at the data center. So this will allow at least some form of resiliency in a star type topology or a segmented network. And many of our banking customers love this additional feature without having to set up a separate parallel network with a separate different set of configuration settings. And last but not least, when you have a modern showcase-ready banking system, you do want to provide even more benefits and extend that down to your consumers. We offer guest protection to your private network by VLANing and subnetting their services separately from the private banking network. You can share the same APs within the branch and segment the network via SSID, or you can even go down to the hardware level and separate consumer services down to the per port and off-ramp that back to the internet without ever going into your private banking network. So these are all features that are very important to security and banking specific customers. Now that wraps it up for our case study. We've shown you a triple phase from dark branches all the way to online, from cloud-based core network setup, plus full extended banking services to third party from who? From one partner, from Peplink. We were the only vendor partner that can offer such a solution from zero to showcase an award-winning system in the region. So now I will take your Q&A questions if you have any. You can ask me about the network topology. You can ask me about the benefits, how to do it. I will answer as many questions as I can without divulging or breaking any NDAs. And I'll give you a minute to type in all your questions and I will go through all of them very shortly. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start answering questions now. From Marcus, when talking about multiple tunnels within the SpeedFusion link, are you referring to the separate layers from VLANs? That is correct, Marcus. Within every peer or SpeedFusion tunnel, you can set subtunnels. And subtunnels will apply SpeedFusion benefits to specific traffics. So let's pretend I created a SpeedFusion peer-to-peer link between one branch to the headquarters, but I want different policies based on layer 3, let's say traffic. Let's say I want voice over IP traffic to have a certain amount of bandwidth or a certain amount of quality applied to it, and I want to designate which WAN port. I can create a tunnel for that traffic, and it will only apply to that type of traffic. And then I could create another one for data, for example. And I could create another one for backhauling, or I could create another one for video conferencing. From Michael, how many OpenVPN users can support in the FusionHub? That's actually a great question. I actually do not know that answer, but if you check the SpeedFusion spec sheet, it will tell you. And yes, we do support OpenVPN, L2TP, and I believe IPsec for users to connect into the network. From Michael Wheeler, during the POC of a successful banking client, was there a remote branch that only have edge connectivity? How did you solve this challenge? Okay, that's a great question, Michael. So let me go back a little bit. So you have one headquarter branch. That was the biggest branch in the region. Then you had a remote branch, and our partner chose the branch that had nothing, zero. They were unable to even buy internet service for that branch. That's how far away they were. They used a multi 4G LTE solution with different providers. That is key. You don't use the same provider with multiple 4G LTE solutions. Use different ISP or MSP with multiple 4G. And they were able to create a bonded connection. And then they connected that to the main branch. Now, if you have a branch with a single WAN edge connectivity, that means, let's pretend you have MPLS or you have some kind of fiber optic or whatever, you can inline that WAN into our device on the WAN port and then add either physical WAN or 4G LTE on top. And then you bond that connection into a single virtual connection back to the main headquarter branch. If you would like more examples of that, please send me an email at sales@peplink.com and I would be glad to showcase that. Or you can join our forum and our partners can actually share case studies and network topology with you. And Marcus, there are some case studies on the Peplink website. Does this presentation relate to one of those specifically? The answer is none. None, zero. This is a brand new case that we've never shown. This case is actually under NDA. I obfuscated a lot of details, but I will share with you for any network engineer, when you look at that detailed connectivity map that I showed, you can actually understand exactly what's going on down to the device level. I've shown you the critical points, which was to put a FusionHub in front of the firewall that goes into the data center. And from that point, you connect all bank-to-bank in-branch network, plus extending data center out to third-party transaction servicing and etc. Oh, Michael, what you meant is there's no 4G, but there's only 1G. What we can do is we have to look at what's available in your region, Michael. For example, if you don't have 4G, we can look at VSAT. And we've done that with many customers. We're able to aggregate multiple VSAT connections into an existing WAN connection as primary or as secondary or as supplement. But what you should do is for your specific cases, tell me what you have available in your region. And our technical team can work with you to design something that's feasible. And we can work with you to set up a POC just to prove that point before there are any commitments from your customer. Now, if there are no more questions, and yes, the case study will be made available for everybody to analyze with the video. Okay, there is a question in Q&A. So I'm going to copy this question into the chat box if I can. Oh, I can't. So here, let me read it out loud. It's in the Q&A section. Regarding bandwidth bonding, what if we combine two WANs using cable, FTTH, and satellite? What will the performance become? Because ping latency of the satellite will be much higher than the FTTH. That is absolutely correct. So Joki, your question, if you're combining two high-speed landlines, fiber or copper, and you add a high latency VSAT, what you can do is A, you can set a latency cutoff, and you can apply that policy to specific traffic. Or B, you can create a policy to integrate everything where it's not latency specific. Let's say after our banking backup. Do you really care about latency then? Not really, unless you're talking about CCTV, for example. What if you just want to back up all data transactions from the day and just send it back to the data center for backup and redundancy? You don't really care about the latency. You can just combine all the WANs and send the data as fast as possible. When it gets there, our technology will recombine all the data into seamless streams and save it. If you're talking about CCTV, voice over IP, anytime that's latency sensitive, you can set a latency cutoff and SpeedFusion will automatically not use a high latency WAN. You can do that automatically, or you can set a manual policy and just fix it. So it really depends on what you want to do. Hi, Marcus, you had a really great question. In Australia, banks are closing branches due to people moving online. One bank even announced that the gradual decommissioning of ATMs as cash is getting used less. How would you sell a solution to the market? Okay, so everything's going cloud-based, right? And everybody is using a redundant setup, basically through mobile phones. Okay, so my answer to that would be, A, if every customer is pounding on the network trying to get banking services, where is the scalability limitation going to be? It's going to be at the data center, right? But you still need a front end. And at that front end, you still have to manage it. You can still use a SpeedFusion system for what? Management, quality of service. What if even if you're doing just peer transactions, let's say at the busiest time of day, and you oversaturate that network, how will the banking service team even know they have a problem? They don't, without sophisticated reporting. IC2 offers mature reporting mechanisms that you can monitor on a per time basis to see the quality of your service, just by monitoring the devices. And also, what about one of the most critical systems in the world? What is that? Hotline usage. What if I cannot access my account and I need to call somebody? That call center will still benefit from SpeedFusion because that is the lifeline to every business. The phone number is still the primary lifeline for a business to touch and work with their consumers. If you don't have that system in place, I will let you compare a bank that has no voice customer service versus peer internet banking. I will tell you, the best banks in the world still have a voice outlet for their consumers, and they're able to monitor and troubleshoot their banking system in real time. Hi, Gan. How can this solution apply to ATMs? Well, we actually have a future webinar already designed to talk about ATM integration, but I will tell you to look at SpeedFusion engine. And if you really want us to kick off that next webinar very soon, please, everybody in the audience, fill out the feedback form at the end of the webinar and tell us you want to see it, and we will push up that schedule and deliver the ATM banking solution for you. And I think that wraps it up. I want to finalize and say thank you everybody for your time. It's greatly appreciated. Your support is required for us to continue to do these webinars. You could come visit us on our website and follow up and see all the new cool products that we're kicking out soon. More importantly, you can follow us on LinkedIn and social media such as Facebook and watch the webinars on our YouTube channel. But probably the most important thing is participate in our forum. And please fill out the feedback form. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you didn't like. If you tell us what you didn't like, please be specific. Don't say the webinar was not so good. We cannot improve if we do not know. And thank you everybody for your time. And thank my partner for an incredible deployment that was showcased and award-winning. Really have to hand it to you. Everybody have a great morning and a great afternoon, and I will see you all at the next webinar. Thank you.